Hey, brother. On our journey in fortitude, one of the things we need to remember is that fortitude doesn't just exist for its own sake. We're to have fortitude because other people are watching us, other people are following us, and especially those who are young. We need to think about the next generation. And that generation may just be another man who's watching you, who's slightly younger than you, but most likely it includes your children or your grandchildren. So one of the things that happened for the Israelites is that they brought stones up out of the River Jordan, large river rock, and they built a monument on the shore for them to remember what God had done for them. They were to tell their children about this great monument and what it meant so that they wouldn't forget, so that another generation would hear stories about God's great work in their life. And the word that I'm giving you today doesn't really show itself in the chapter in Joshua, but it does show up later in a psalm by David, and it's the word tell. And here's what it says in Psalm 78, verse 5. He established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers to teach to their children, that the next generation might know them, the children yet unborn, and arise and tell them to their children, so that they should set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments. I know as I was growing up, my mom and dad had stories about God's provision. I remember hearing stories in the church I grew up in about how God had met people and how miracles had happened and how God had just become so precious to them because he had met a need in their life. And one of the great things about men getting together and sharing in small groups or around a table or around a campfire is when men tell each other how God has met them. Nothing fortifies us. Nothing gives us more fortitude than to know that God has helped another man, that God is faithful, and that we see in his eyes and his experience that God has met him. It gives us fortitude. It gives us hope. It gives us endurance. So today, men, tell someone about what God has done in your life. Maybe it's just over lunch or over supper. Maybe it's telling someone you already know and they already know the story, but tell them again, because what it does is it reminds us of God's great work in our life and gives us fortitude to expect of God the things that only he can give. So today, have a day of fortitude. Tell someone about God's great work in your life. See you tomorrow.